Hi, this is just a quick warning video about COVID-19, what is commonly called the coronavirus or the China virus. There is a list that I'm maintaining in Twitter with updates on this virus so that you can get detailed information, if you wish, about its biology and what's being done about it worldwide. There are two main sources of updated data. The most important one is Johns Hopkins University, but there are others that are easier to read on a cell phone like this. But for the moment, I'm just going to urge you to read this article. There will be links in the video description to what I've been talking about the list and Johns Hopkins, etc. I want you to pay attention to this very closely because unfortunately Christians wouldn't know Bible if it bit them, and they think that, as Trump initially had said, well, the coronavirus is not really a threat. And then unfortunately the lying Trump prophets like Cindy Jacobs and Kenneth Copeland are busy telling their flocks that God won't hit Christians with this virus. Yeah, he will hit you because you're too damn dumb. You're spitting on Christ every day, and that's why we're in this situation. Okay? The reason we got Trump, the reason we got this virus is bad Christians like you. And you say, well, how do you know it's me? Well, do you use 1 John 1:9? If you're not, you're out of fellowship, and yes, you're the cause of the problem. If you want to stop being the cause of the problem, start using 1 John 1:9 and ask God what to do. Hear me loud and clear. Bible never blames the non-believer. Bible blames only the believer for whatever goes wrong in history. This is not China's fault. This is not, well, you could argue it's Trump's fault because he's saved. But this is the fault of us Christians who are not learning and living on Bible, which you can not do if you're not using 1 John 1:9. If you're using 1 John 1:9, then you would know that you have to get under a teacher and study under that teacher every day, preferably learning the Bible in the original Greek and Hebrew. If you are not doing that, then you are not using 1 John 1:9, and you are the cause of this virus. Get it right and get it now. Okay? And the same is true for me, obviously. All right? We're all in this together. We're studying to be royal family of God forever. And royal family has its privilege, and it also has its consequence. This is our fault. Per Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28, Acts 17:26, Deuteronomy 32 is another adjunctive. And then, of course, most notably in Romans 13 through 15. Read it and learn. And stop saying, oh, the coronavirus won't affect us Christians. It's because of us that this is happening. And yes, it's serious. That's why you should read this article by ProPublica, which goes into some biological detail about what the coronavirus does to the lungs. In particular, it attacks the air sacs of your lung so that instead of filling up with air, you fill up with liquid blood, and other liquid in your body seeps into your lungs due to the virus. The virus enters the cells of your lungs and brings with it all that fluid, and you eventually drown. Okay? You drown. Now, the only way they can keep you alive once this hits you, and it takes about 7 days before this kind of, reaction occurs, sometimes 14, sometimes 30. The only way to survive is for them to put you, what they call intubate in the article, and put you on a ventilator. Now, I happen to know what that's like because last July, even though I've had it since 2016, last July, I more or less passed out because my lung collapsed in the emergency room. My landlady already called the hospital, already put me in the hospital. And as I was going to get them to examine me, I passed out because my lung collapsed, because I had fluid in my lungs, because it was breast cancer, and that's what breast cancer does. It spits liquid into your lungs. Okay, I didn't know that. They diagnosed it then. It was already 3-4 years old. I should be dead now. This is the last year I'm supposed to be alive. The life expectancy is 5 years. I should be dead by November. That's why I'm talking about this. I know something about what this is. And in the article, you'll see they'll be talking about how when you're on a ventilator, you go kind of crazy. Okay? You have a fever, you don't know what's going on, and you try to get rid of it. That's exactly what I tried to do. They had me on fentanyl. When intubate means that they stick something in your lungs to get the liquid out. Quarts and quarts and quarts of liquid, in my case. And in the case of the people here. Okay? Lung failure, because that's what I had. Quarts and quarts and quarts. And they intubate you, which means that they stick a tube in your lungs and then they hook it up to a machine that literally sucks the liquid out of your lungs. Yeah, I was like that for 3 frickin' weeks. Okay? And they put you on a ventilator, and they also give you, drugs. And in my case, it was fentanyl, and I was hallucinating like crazy. If I told you what I hallucinated, you wouldn't believe me. All right? 3 weeks. The hospital bill was $111,000. Needless to say, I'm broke. I couldn't even pay that. They had a charity pick it up. Okay? Are you listening to me? In my case, it was breast cancer, but had the same result. You get the liquid in your lungs. They have to put a tube in your lung in order to drain the liquid out, otherwise you die. Meanwhile, they put you in a ventilator with these tubes inside going down to your lung from your throat. It was horrible. That's what this virus does. That's nothing like the flu. You get me? Nothing like the flu. Not at all. It's more like cancer getting into your lungs, because that's what it was for me. Okay? And every month after that, for the next 2 months, I had to be drained again. Probably should be drained again now, but I can't get anybody to care for me until July when Medicare Part B goes on. So I might die before November because I can't get health care now, because Part B will not go on. All right? So, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to be warned. I know what this experience is. So you do not go out there saying, "Oh, God will take care of me. It's no worse than the flu." Yeah, you got a 98% chance of this not happening to you, but you don't know if you're part of the 2%. And honey, if you're not using 1 John 1:9, you are part of the 2%. Because God's going to use this to wipe out Christians who are not listening to him. That's the only way he himself can protect the world from the coronavirus of the human race. The coronavirus of Christians who are out of fellowship with God. The coronavirus of the most disgusting people on earth, prolifers. The pro-lifers had 40 years to wake up and smell the coffee that 500 Bible verses say life begins at birth, because only God is the author of life. But they hate God. They hate Christ. They hate the Bible. They won't listen. Okay, the 40 years is up. They started this bullshit back in August of 1975. With Francis Schaeffer, Bill Bright, Lauren Cunningham. Go look up their names. All saying they got a vision that God wants all the Christians to conquer the world. Yeah, you know where that vision is located? Revelation 17. Uniting church and state. And the people who elected Trump belong to that sect. And they even call themselves Seven Mountains, which is in Revelation 17, verse 9. This is why the virus is here. Not because of China. All right? So learn. Read this article. Video description will have a link about it. And it explains what happens pretty much as I told you. All right? If you don't do it, then at least use 1 John 1:9 so you'll no longer be part of the problem. Peace out.